The search for inner peace has been a search that has been going on since the beginning of time. Many have claimed to have found the recipe for it, but when we look back in history, most progressive thinkers have narrowed down inner peace to one thing, and one thing only.
Once in a quaint village nestled between rolling hills and babbling brooks, there lived a seeker named Ananda. Ananda was known far and wide for his ceaseless quest for meaning and purpose. He spent his days in deep contemplation, seeking wisdom from sages and scholars who traversed the village. One day, as Ananda wandered through a serene meadow, he stumbled upon an ancient oak tree. Its gnarled branches reached out like wise old arms, and its roots delved deep into the earth, anchoring it in profound stillness. Ananda sensed a presence, an energy emanating from the tree that captivated his attention. Intrigued, Ananda approached the oak and asked, "Old oak, what is the secret to your peace? How do you stand so firm and weather the storms of time?" The ancient oak responded in a whisper carried by the wind, "Dear Ananda, I surrendered to the rhythm of life. I embraced the changing seasons without resistance. In the storms, I swayed with the dance of the wind, and in the calm, I stood rooted in gratitude." Ananda, eager to understand, inquired, "But how does one surrender, wise oak? How does one let go of the burdens that weigh the heart?" The oak spoke, "Surrender, dear Ananda, is the art of letting go. It is the understanding that life flows effortlessly when you release your grip on the illusion of control. Just as my leaves fall in autumn, surrender the need to hold on to what must naturally pass. Trust in the divine rhythm and you shall find peace." Ananda pondered these words, and as he sat beneath the ancient oak, a profound stillness enveloped him. In that moment, he felt the gentle surrender of his striving mind. The ceaseless chatter of thoughts faded, and he became aware of the timeless presence that permeated all of existence. From that day forward, Ananda carried the wisdom of the ancient oak within his heart. He learned to surrender to the flow of life, to embrace each moment without clinging to the past or yearning for the future. In surrender, he found a profound peace that transcended the turbulence of worldly concerns. And so the seeker became the sage, and the village, once buzzing with restlessness, found a quietude that mirrored the tranquility of the ancient oak that stood as a silent sentinel of surrender in the meadow.
So let's talk about surrender, something that seems so easy to do, but we have such a hard time doing it. I promise you we'll get to that eventually, but before we do, let me tell you what brought this concept to me. A while back, I found myself navigating a challenging period in my life. There was a career shift and ending to a relationship that I thought was permanent, and at first I tried to control everything, planning every single detail, but the more I tried to control it, the more resistance I faced. Then I decided to surrender to the flow of life, allowing things to unfold naturally. And suddenly opportunities I hadn't even thought of appeared out of nowhere, and doors began to open that I didn't even know existed. And that's when I learned that surrender isn't about giving up. It's about letting go. And it's this wisdom that I believe can change your life. Picture a river flowing effortlessly. Now imagine trying to control the direction of that river, battling against its natural course. It's impossible and it can't be done. Well, life is much like that river. We can try to control every twist and turn, or we can learn to surrender to its natural ebb and flow. We've all resisted the flow of life at some point. Maybe it was a relationship that didn't work out, or a career path that took an unexpected turn. Now, how did it feel to try and control those situations? Well, most likely you felt stressed out, frustrated, and defeated. Now contrast that with a moment where you let go and allowed things to unfold, much like the river following its course. And in essence, that's what surrender is. Finding that balance between guiding our lives and allowing it to unfold naturally. Imagine holding a snow globe. The more you shake it, the more chaotic the scene inside becomes. But what happens when you simply let it be? The snowflakes settle and clarity emerges. Life is much the same way. The constant need to control stirs up chaos. Inner peace arises when we release that need and let life unfold. It's been proven that mindfulness is a powerful tool in cultivating inner peace. See if you can take a few minutes each day to sit in silence, and while you're still, observe your breath, the sensations in your body, and the thoughts passing through your mind. As you do this, you're going to start to notice a subtle shift towards peace. And most of all, try doing this without judgment. I mean, it seems like such a simple thing to do until suddenly we find ourselves labeling situations and injecting our own opinions on it. I want you to think back to a time when you were fully present, maybe watching a sunrise or enjoying a nice cup of coffee. In those moments, your mind isn't trying to control or fix, it's simply being. Because now we are becoming observers of our lives rather than controllers. Sri Ramana says that surrender is used to transcend the individual self. And when we do this, we attain inner peace. True surrender goes beyond a subject-object relationship with the universe. Got that right. And it's only achieved when we recognize inseparability from all that is.
Surrender is not a destination. It is a journey into the unknown. In surrender, the I dissolves, revealing the timeless presence that has always been here, beyond the illusion of separation.
So when we're aware of the vastness of the universe, it generates a flow of power from the self, weakening the I thought and eliminating vasanas, which is our automatic response to situations. It's this ingrained behavior that sustains the sense of individuality. And that's how we destroy the ego, surrender without motive. If our intention is the reward, then surrender becomes a transaction. But true surrender leads to jnana, which is knowledge or liberation, where the individual doesn't exist and the all-knowing prevails. And isn't the death of the ego something we all want? But before we surrender, we need to learn to accept. So what is acceptance? Well, the Oxford Dictionary defines it as the action of consenting to receive or undertake something that is offered. What's left out of that definition, however, is judgment, just like we talked about before. It's one thing to accept something, it's totally another to accept it without judgment. Acceptance is like saying, this is where I am, and that's okay. When we resist what is, we create resistance. So just like the river scenario I mentioned before, we're like the boat fighting against the current. It's draining, and no matter how hard we paddle, the river keeps flowing. Acceptance is choosing to turn the boat around to flow with the current, and we can all relate to that at some point in our lives. Maybe it was accepting a part of yourself you had been rejecting, or acknowledging a reality you had been avoiding. As soon as we accept, we create space for growth. Think of it as decluttering your mental space. So just like cleaning up our physical spaces to create room for new things, releasing mental clutter allows for fresh perspectives and new opportunities. And journaling can really help with this. So try writing down aspects of your life that you're struggling to accept and explore the emotions tied to those challenges. Then identify what you need to release, whether it's a belief, expectation, or a fear. One of my all-time favorite philosophers, Eckhart Tolle, views surrender as acceptance of the present moment as a means to dissolve the resistance within ourselves. Holy smokes, that's a tongue twister. He says the self is a combination of mind structures, mental images, accumulated content, and something he refers to as the pain body, which, believe me when I tell you, is a whole episode in itself. But he also emphasizes that surrendering is not a continuous 24/7 practice, but rather a moment-to-moment experience.
Surrender is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding to, rather than opposing, the flow of life. The only place where you can experience the flow of life is the now, so to surrender is to accept the present moment unconditionally and without reservation.
Surrender is something we can all do. We all have the capacity to do it, but most of us are so used to the idea of wanting to know what comes next or what tomorrow may bring, we keep ourselves fearful of the one thing that stands in the way of true surrender. And frankly, it's the one thing we should all be embracing.
In an ancient Chinese village, an insightful mentor named Li Wei was approached by a young woman named Shiji Mai, expressing concerns about the uncertainties of the future. Li Wei, how can one navigate the unknown without constant worry? Shiji asked. Li Wei responded, life is a journey with unexpected turns. Embrace uncertainty as the fertile ground where new possibilities take root. Curious, Shiji inquired, but how do I embrace the unknown without fear of what lies ahead? In the heart of uncertainty lies the canvas of your story. Picture yourself as an artist, eager to paint the blank spaces with the colors of experience. See each unknown as a blank canvas, waiting for your unique masterpiece to unfold, Li Wei explained. Inspired, Shiji ventured into the uncertainties of life, viewing them not as obstacles, but but as opportunities. In doing so, May discovered the art of navigating the unpredictable, turning each uncertainty into a stroke of resilience and growth.
Look, life is uncertain. Surrender invites us not to fear the uncertain, but to embrace it. Just like Li Wei said, think of uncertainty as a blank canvas. When we try to control every brush stroke, we limit the potential for a masterpiece. Surrendering to uncertainty is like allowing the artist within us to paint freely, creating a life that unfolds organically. Uncertainty can bring unexpected gifts into your life too. For me, being uncertain about, relationships, as an example, brought me amazing partners that led to meaningful courtships. Even career-wise, it also brought me opportunities I didn't even know were possible. One image that I always use to navigate uncertainty gracefully is a tree bending with the wind instead of resisting it. It remains strong and resilient because it embraces the natural forces around it. Similarly, when we embrace the winds of change instead of resisting them, we become resilient in the face of uncertainty. When faced with uncertainty, take a moment to ground yourself. Connect with your breath. Remind yourself that uncertainty is an invitation for growth. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this moment and how can I adapt? Now, many people think that surrender involves an action, and technically that's true, but there is a balance between surrender and action. But what about when I want to manifest something, you're probably thinking to yourself? Well, believe it or not, manifestation and surrender go hand in hand. There is a delicate balance between surrender and taking inspired action, using surrender for empowerment rather than complacency. They're like dance partners moving in tandem to create harmony. Now, while surrender encourages us to let go, it doesn't mean we become passive observers of our lives. Picture a surfer riding the waves. The surfer surrenders to the power of the ocean, feeling the rhythm and the energy. Yet when the right wave comes, they paddle with all their might. It's about aligning your actions with your inner guidance. When you surrender, you open up a channel for intuitive insights that can help you take inspired action. Spiritual leader Joe Dispenza discusses the process of surrender and letting go in order to manifest outcomes using the law of attraction. So what he suggests is a temporary separation from consensus reality, even though it can feel uncomfortable. But once you do that, you take a macro view of life and understand that the universe always operates based on free will. He says that it's important to not obsess over specific details and just let the universe organize outcomes in ways that we're not expecting. He calls this state being nobody, going nowhere. And this state helps to transcend the limitations of time while awaiting the manifestation. Paramahansa Yogananda, spiritual teacher and author of Autobiography of a Yogi, often spoke about surrender and its connection between spiritual practices and manifestation.
When by the practice of meditation and right living, you attune your consciousness to God, your mind becomes calm and concentrated, your soul expands and expresses peace, and your body is charged with the vital force of the spirit. That is the time to command the mind and body to manifest ideas. Do not be discouraged if you do not receive an immediate response. Keep on praying, affirming, and demanding fulfillment until you are in tune with divine consciousness. Then you will know that your thoughts are of God and will be fulfilled.
Now, of course, you can replace God with whatever fits your own spirituality, but here he emphasizes the importance of attuning one's consciousness to the divine through practices like meditation, and from that aligned state, manifestation becomes more potent. Now, there does seem to be a contradiction between finding happiness through getting what you want versus complete surrender to the present moment, and of course, this can lead to confusion. But the truth is, both perspectives are valid and they both complement each other. The key is to recognize that happiness tied solely to getting what you want is conditional and can lead to dissatisfaction. Because the truth of the matter is, desire is a part of human nature. And the happiness never lasts because desire is designed to be ongoing. New desires are always being created, and happiness is knowing when to choose a desire instead of being controlled by it. So just want to say thanks so much for sharing this space with me. Remember, surrender is not a destination. It's a journey, a continuous dance with the ebb and flow of life. It's the moment a caterpillar blossoms into a butterfly, or when a seed turns into a mighty oak. It's a shedding the old to make room for the new. It's letting go of outdated beliefs, patterns, and ways of being that no longer serve us. And just like Eckhart Tolle said, it's not a one and done moment, but it's a series of consecutive moments that requires patience. But now is the time to weave the threads of acceptance, release, mindfulness, adaptability, and inspired action into your daily routine. Practice present moment awareness. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Anchor yourself in the now, and release the need for control. If anything we talked about today resonates with you, please share it in the comments below. Let's create a community where we support and encourage each other to be better human beings. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support is so appreciated, and believe me when I say that it fuels the ripple effect of positive change in the world. Until next time, I'm Sean Hakeem, and remember, I have not told you anything that you already don't know.